At this point, our tweet line is set. We can create new tweets. New quaks, sorry. We can delete them. That is also great. And now it's time to edit one of them as well. So first of all, let's go to our editor again and let's set up the road. Therefore, we're gonna go to roads web again, and as you remember, we have the index, the store, and the destroy method allowed. So let's also add here the update method, so that we are also allowed to use the update method. In order to update, we also need to edit our components. So let's go back to our Quak component, what is in here, Quak component, and let's add another button in the drop-down link. So remember that we have this drop-down link button that is just for deleting. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create another button. And let's say it's an edit button. I'm just going to paste in some nice classes. Okay, it's very long, that's why I pasted it. And we are going to listen to the event click. So on click, what we're going to do, we are just going to say editing, it's equal true. Editing is a property that we don't have yet. We are going to create it directly in our script. What we're going to do here is we are just creating a reference. So a new constant, editing equal ref false. So by default it's going to be false, and we can change it. We need to import ref, otherwise it's not going to work. So let's import it now. Import ref from Vue. It's not red, it's ref. Perfect. So now, once we click the edit button, this is going to change to true. Let's see it in action. Okay, let's just refresh. Let's go to our Quak here. And you can see editing is set to false. When I click the edit button, it's set to true. Okay, now we have the functionality to know when we are editing or not editing. If we jump back to our code, let me just make this small so that with everything in place. Perfect. Now what we're gonna do, this is our Quak itself, and now we are gonna create a form in here. No action. What we want to do is we want to listen to the submit event. Submit, also prevent. So this is exactly the same that we use for the posting, for the creating of the Quak, right? But in this case, instead of using, we don't have the form in here yet. No, we don't. So we are going to create the form first. So we are going to create a new constant form. We're going to use form. It's automatically imported on top from inertia. And the data that we're going to provide is the message. But in this case, instead of using an empty string, what we're going to do is we are going to use the provided Quak message. So we are going to use props.quak.message. So that is pre-filled with that message when we use it. So let's go back to our template. Here what we're gonna put in is the form dot put. So the method put, it's gonna make a request to the update method with the route quaks dot update. Okay, great. And we also need to provide the ID. So let's provide the quak.id. And as before, the ID needs to be there. And here we put the options. So on success, what we're gonna do, so once everything went fine, we're gonna say editing is equal false. Editing with one I. Okay, perfect. So this is once the form is submitted, what this is going to do is going to make a put request to the quaks update endpoint with that ID. And if everything goes well, what it does is just setting the editing property to false again. And that's it, nothing else. So now what we need to do is again our text area. What I'm gonna steal directly from the page here. Let's open it. So we have here a text area. Okay, this is our text area. And we are also going to steal all those. Let's go back in here. So we have our text area. The model is the message, is exactly the same. The placeholder, we don't need a placeholder due to the fact that it's not going to be empty because it's going to be pre-filled with a message. Styling is the same. And then the input error. So if there's any messages after the update, it's going to be shown the same. And what we're going to do here is the primary button is going to be different. So let's say with a save text in here. And we're going to also create another button next to it, but not primary. Let's say it's a normal button. Okay, with a class of margin top 4 and a background of gray 400, for example, or 500. I think 400 is okay. 400 is better. And this is for canceling. So in order to cancel if we don't want to edit it anymore. So what we're gonna do here is just we're gonna listen for a click event. So when the user clicks on it, we're just going to set the editing to false. We're also going to form.reset and form.clear errors. So this is going to just remove the editing property or set it to false. It's gonna reset the form and clean the errors. And that's it. And I believe that this is our whole functionality. Let me see. So let's go in there and have a look. Okay, these are the buttons. Just a second. Okay. Oh, primary button is not imported. Input error is not imported, so I need to import them as well. So let's just do it here. It's easier. So if I say primary button and input error, it should be imported on the top. Primary button, input error. Let's have a look in our page. Okay, probably we have an error. Let's just hard refresh. Great, looks good. And for the cancel button, Yeah, probably we need to give them some more classes. Let's see. Let's give it a padding of 4 and rounded MD. Okay, 4 is too much, so probably it's a padding of 2 what it's the primary button is using. Yeah, that looks 2 or 1.5. 1.5 is also possible, and that looks better. Yes. So if we just remove here the 2 points, so we can see the form errors are still there, but here's a space, and this is because of the justify between. In order to avoid this, what we can do is we can just wrap those buttons into another div. Then the justify between is going to be between those divs, so between the divs itself, so buttons are not affected. Let's see it. Perfect. But now the buttons are very, very close one to the other. So let's just give it here as well a class of flex, justify between as well, and item center. And let's also say space x2. And instead of justify between, what we could do is justify at the end. So that will move them to the right. Okay, that looks great. Just to make it as similar as possible to the primary button, we can just go and inspect it. Okay, here we have everything. Yeah. So probably we should give it another font, so text S and text XS and text white. So let's do it as well. So text XS, XS, and text white, and also uppercase probably is also wise. Yep, that's okay. And now we probably need to increase a little bit the padding as well. Let's say it's 2. Okay, a little bit more. Padding X4 and padding Y2. Padding X4 and padding Y2. Okay. It also has a border. I don't know if we need this actually, but yeah, I believe that this is enough for now. So actually, if we cancel, it should just be set to false and everything cleared. Let's move back our messages in here. Okay, and now what we need to do is we show the form only if we are editing, and otherwise we show the paragraph, the message itself. So let's do it like this. So if if editing it's equal false, then show the message, and else, so if editing is equals true in this case, we just show the form. Let's have a look. Perfect, our form is gone. And now if I go to edit, okay, that's great, it just switched. That's perfect. That looks awesome. Now we just need to test if we can edit it. So trying to quacked, or yeah, trying, it worked. Let's save it. Okay, and we see it's not updated, but if we go to our network tab, you see that we have sent a put request to quaks 8 with a message it worked quack. But we are not doing anything on the backend yet, so that's why we don't see it. So let's do it. Let's directly go to our controller. Let's open it. And here the functionality of storing it or updating it is not implemented. That's why it did not do anything. First of all, let's just access the quack and say we want to update. And we could actually update the message, but we also need to validate. So what we can do is we can just steal from the store method here the validated, because it's going to be the same. And we just want to update it. That's it. After that, of course, we want also to return a redirect again, and we want to redirect to the quaks.index. Let's also change our return type. Perfect. Let's update and try it again. I quacked. Yeah, now it works. Awesome. There's one thing missing here. We still need to only allow the owner of that quack to update it. So therefore we can use the authorize again, like we did for the delete. In this case, what we want to the ability that we want to do is the update. And we also gonna pass in the quack. Let's update our comment in here as well. Okay, that's great. Let's open our policy, because if we don't provide it by default, so we can just we can actually test it. So by default it's going to not allow me. So it's I quacked again. And you see this action is unauthorized, so I'm not allowed to. Therefore we need, so by default, if we don't return anything, it's just returning false. So what we need to do here, again, is just return the same that we did for the user, for the delete. Okay, update. Again. Save. And there we go. Let's cancel to see if it works. Yeah, that works again. Form submission cancelled because the form is not cancelled. This is just a warn from Inertia. And now we are able to create a new tweet, a new quack. Sorry, I'm still keeping saying tweets. I can edit it. Edit a quack. Yeah. And I can delete it. That's awesome.